The key issue, as far as I am concerned, is the energy sector. IPP is a little over 1 billion. Fuel-related expenditure, almost 800 million. So today, if you were to flush out the energy sector debts and bring the books to a healthy path, you will need about $1.8 billion in order to deal with energy sector-related debts. And so that's a colossal amount. And almost every investor you meet, their concern is how is Ghana going to deal with the hydra-headed problem of energy sector-related issues. First of all, I think that there's been a lot of policy inconsistency. First, why would the Minister of Finance write to ECG without passing it through the Ministry of Energy, authorizing ECG to procure fuel? ECG is not a generation company. ECG is a distribution company. You need somebody with knowledge in the generation sector to determine the spec of fuel that you are buying, who has the track record, so the person can negotiate for better terms. So why is ECG being asked to buy fuel? That's very awkward. And why is the minister doing so without recourse to the cash waterfall mechanism in terms of the committee that administers the cash waterfall? That's one. Another serious problem is that the ministry itself, and you see, it's not about what Honorable Japa says. At this moment, what we depend on is official document put out by the PURC. Since August, the ministry has not paid anything to ECG in respect of these hospitals that we are talking about. Hospitals, police service, and all that. And if you read the report from PURC, you can confirm, it stated explicitly that since August, the Ministry of Finance has failed to pay that money. And now you're looking at about 1.6 billion. That's also some outstanding debt. Then worrying is even the current bills. We were told that ECG was staying current. And Honorable Atachia is right here. He chairs the committee. When we interrogated, it turns out that ECG has rather committed to pay 70% of the current bills, accumulate the 30%, promising the IPPs that it should be paid somewhere in 2026. If you look at their cash flows, clearly, they cannot pay that money. And so even the confidence is not there. Then gas bills, gas that is supplied and consumed, not capacity charge gas. Now the gas is not even adequate for the thermal plants. So we are no more in an era of capacity charges. If you read the PIAC report, and Dr. Stimantiao has done a lot of work there, so he can check and confirm. Over 600 million of raw commodity gas, raw, not processed gas. At that time, Jubilee gas was foundation gas. It was free. Today, that gas is not free. And so the bill is compounding at an astronomical pace. Now the solutions. One, let's face it, the tariff structure is not cost reflective. That's a fact. If you look at where the exchange rate was, and bearing in mind that in the energy sector, about 80% of the recurrent expenditure is dollar denominated. And you look at whether based on political reasons or whatever, why the exchange rate is depreciating and cost is increasing, we're told that some category had a reduction of 6%. And so the bills are compounding and it's threatening the sector. Look, my worry is that if we continue on this trajectory, in 1 year time, the sector will collapse. And that will have a big weight on the economy. So I think that we should look at the tariff structure. That's one.
Okay.
Two is that I'm so convinced that ECG alone cannot efficiently collect the monies. And we should relook the PDA structure and see whether we can get some private sector participation in terms of the collection. Because at committee, they indicated that they collect 70% of the amount. We asked for that amount, and that 70% is about 1.2 billion. So when you find the 30% of the global figure, it means that over 500 million cedis every month is not collected. 500 million every month times 12 takes you to somewhere around 6 billion cedis. That's a colossal amount. So I think that we need to look at ECG and its collection, not necessarily do a full privatization, but if we can have some private sector participation, especially with the collection, and then get Ministry of Finance in particular, not to run the energy sector as if it is an appendage of the Ministry of Finance, get the Ministry of Energy to take full charge and empower PURC and the Cash Waterfall Committee to ensure that the monies are lodged in one consolidated single treasury. So that even if ECG is taking facilities, that committee can engage the banks and ensure that part of ECG's allocation is used to deal with that liability. When we do that, we would see some level of reduction. Because now the losses has risen to about 30%. No industry, no electricity company in the world can survive with 30% losses.